My channel. My name is Rena. If you're new here, then welcome. So as you can see, this is all my primers here. I know there's a lot, so I'm just gonna pop them on the table and we're gonna go through each individual of them just to let you know how I feel. I don't think there's anything that I'm decluttering. Like I said, this series is more for a makeup collection video, and once I get the other rest of my primer at home, I pretty much have exactly the same amount at home. It's ridiculous. And then I will put them together. There might actually be a couple of duplications and also some very similar ones. That's when I will decide to do my decluttering. Anyway, if you like today's content and like these type of videos, I do have a couple. I'll leave the playlist somewhere so you guys can check it out if you're interested. Give us a thumbs up if you like today's videos, and without further ado, let's just dive into it. I'm just gonna pop them all on the table first and then we're gonna go through them. Grab a coffee because I'm sure we all need it. It's gonna be a long one. So I've reorganized this again. Now we're putting them into sections. So here we have all the smoothing primers at the bottom and then color correcting ones, and these two I actually just don't know where to put it. And then we have moisturizing ones here, the illuminating primers. I've got a lot more than I thought, and these three are like multi-function primers. And then coming on this side we have pore minimizing primers, like blurring primers, mattifying primers, and some brightening primers. Let's gonna crack through this big chunk illuminating primers here first, and then I'll move everything sort of into the center. I will also do a timestamps for this video as well, so if you want to go back and just check for particular primer categories, we can do that later. Let's just zoom you guys in a little bit more and let's go for the illuminating one first. First, let's talk about this W7 Prime and Glow Primer. This is a brand new. I've got one that's currently in my project pan. If you watch my project pan intro, I really like this one as a sort of multi-function. It does give a nice sort of sheer glow, and then it also minimizes my pores just by a little smidge, smooths my skin a little bit. I'll say probably the downside is for illuminating primer, this one's not giving a very radiant dewy glow. It's very subtle, and then it's not that hydrating as well. Plus the design of this is in a compact, so it can get a bit messy if you use any of the jar primers before you know, but it's quite affordable. This little compact got 4 grams in there. I really enjoyed it. I probably will not repurchase again, mainly just because I don't like in the compact that you have to take product out and it just get quite messy. I have so many illuminating primers now that I've got a couple that I think I like just a little bit more than this, but it was one of my like favorite, and if you're on a budget, it's still really good to go. And then we have, let's talk about the E.L.F Luminous Putty Primer. This one I bought it because I tried their poreless primer and I just in love. You can tell I've used a little bit of it. This is nowhere near to their poreless putty primer, to be honest. I definitely like that one a bit more. It gives this sort of like a yellow reflection tone. It does take a little bit of effort to blend it onto your skin, so I always found I use a little bit too much every time. I would like to take less product if possible. It does give a glow, but it's pretty much all it does, only giving a bit of glow. It's not smoothing, not minimize pores, not hydrating, not lasting the foundation a bit longer. So it's to me more like a cream sort of base highlighter rather than a primer. I don't really enjoy this as much as the poreless putty primer, to be honest. And speaking of like a liquid highlighter formula, I've also got this L'Oreal, what is called Natural Glow Enhancer. I've got it in the color Light Glow. This one also works like a highlighter in my opinion. So it comes with a squeezing tube and then you just take some of the product out here. To me it's like a liquid highlighter, right? It says you can use it alone, use it under makeup, but also as a highlighter. This one definitely gives a bit more glow than the other two that I just mentioned. If you use it as a liquid highlighter, I don't think it gives you that sort of a high intense pigmentation. But if you use it all around your face as a primer, I think it's a little bit too glowy for what I like. I'll show you a couple that I'm going to mention next. I think that sort of glow is what I would prefer for a luminous primer. But if you're really going for that glowy, dewy finish, this is actually a good one to go for. And I believe they do also have other colors as well. I've got the light glow. This one comes with a scent. It says infused with watermelon, but I'm not quite sure what I'm smelling here. It's just like a sweet fragrance. And one of my favorite glowing primer is actually this Revlon Photo Ready Rose Glow Hydrating Illuminating Primer. This one you have to watch out how you use the cap. So I usually take the dropper out. So I've already got some product. Let's just get rid of it. I take the dropper out and I squeeze the cap and then I pop it back in and then squeeze it again, so it gives that sort of airtight, and then I'll take it out again. Now you would have some products. So I'll show you how this one looks. This is a quite liquid sort of formula. I like this sort of glow way better than all the other ones I just mentioned. I really hate these bins though. It says you're supposed to like squash them and apply it evenly. I've used it without the bins and they work just exactly the same or very similar, to be honest. So I usually just get rid of the bins once it's got on my face. So you can see this is really washed sort of glow. I put a little bit too much, to be honest. And it's different to the L'Oreal one. L'Oreal is more like, still reckon in the highlighter it's just a little bit too much. I really like this nice washed glow. This is a luminous that I would like, and I really enjoy the formula. It's quite moisturizing as well. I think this could be by far along all my luminous primer my favorite one. One complaint is that little bins within. I really hope they can get rid of it. And then we have these two over here. This actually a dead-on dupe. I just did a video recently comparing this side by side. So the drugstore version is the designer brand's Gold Elixir Priming Potion versus this high-end Guerlian, what is it called? Radiance Concentrate with Pure Gold. These two having the same claims, come in similar bottles, both glass bottles. This one retails for $19.99, 30 mils, same size, but this one retails for $110. The only difference that I noticed from that video is I think this gives a bit more dewy finish, but I have normal to combination sort of skin type. Once it gets on my face and once my oil came through, it actually looking a little bit too dewy. I actually prefer the designer brand's one, but I'm sure if you do 2 pumps versus 1 pump of this, you get exactly the same effect and you save tons of money. I don't think I'll ever needing to purchase this one. And look at this packaging, it's really luxe as well. It definitely on board with the Guerlian one, and I'm so impressed that designer brands having such a good primer. I'll call this more of a radiant sort of formula, not as dewy as the Revlon one that I just said, and once it's set you can see just leave a nice sort of sheen underneath, and this one's giving that radiant glow. So these two are actually two of my favorites, to be honest, now if I look at it side by side. And the designer brands one also helped the makeup last way longer. I use one of my foundation that it doesn't last long very well, and it makes the foundation looks much better. So if you want to see the detailed review, I'll leave that link somewhere up and down below in the cards. And then the last but not least for this group, I have the designer brands Rise and Prime primer. I just think this is an okay product. It looks a little bit like the L'Oreal one, but it definitely not giving that sort of intensity. I actually quite prefer this one over the L'Oreal, but like I said, I've already got the Gold Elixir and I also have the Revlon one I really enjoy. This just give a nice shine finish as well. I reckon if you like the L'Oreal one but you think it's too intense, you can try this designer brands one. This is definitely like a subtle version of it, but they're very similar, feels like a liquid highlighter. Now let's have a look of these three. These three, in my opinion, they are like multi-function primers, particularly the two CoverGirls ones. I've got two, not because they're claiming for different things, it's because I got this one first a while ago before they changed to cruelty-free, and I just love it so much. This is their True Blend Base Business Skin Smoothing Primer. This one definitely does everything that I want from a primer. It minimizes my pores, it smooths my skin and provides hydration. It applies so easily onto my face. and lasts the makeup way longer than it's without the primer. So I really enjoy this one, and it's sort of giving a little bit of mattifying finish as well. This is everything I asked for. And then I know they're going for cruelty free, and I'm like, oh, I hope the formula stays the same. So I just bought one of these ones, and I literally just chose a random one, and this one happened to be in the purple color. So this is the new version once they're gone for cruelty free. However, once you squeeze the product out, I don't think that purple does anything onto my skin. It just pretty much smudge out. I applied too much. It pretty much smudge out to nothing, maybe a tiny bit of color correcting, but really, if you wanted to use to correct your skin, this is not the one to go for. But apart from that, everything else works exactly the same. Hydrations provides lasting power and minimize the pores, smooths my skins, and the mattifying or semi-matte finish. I really do like these two. This has been my favorite drugstore primers since I discovered it last year. I've just been loving this. There's so many primers in my collection. If I want to have a primer that works on all aspects, this is the one to go for, and it's not that expensive, so I do really recommend it. The other one is from the Flower Beauty. It is called Perfecting Primer, and I think it perfects the skin, but when I look at the claim, it sort of does a little bit of everything. I haven't used it enough to give a final verdict. A couple times that I used, I think I don't notice a difference. You know, sometimes when you use a primer, you really see a big difference. Other times you're just like, I can't remember if it's actually did anything. So this is one of those products. I'm gonna play it a little bit more and to organize my thoughts, and I think I have a few sort of similar products at home. I might test them side by side just to rank them a little bit more, so I know if I'm gonna go for a declutter, will this be a keep or a leave product. And then let's go through these over here. These are the mattifying primers. First, let's have a look at this E.L.F. HD mattifying balm. This is actually one of their old products. This has been out for a long time, I believe. So it comes within a mirror, and then it gives you this balm here, and also give you a sponge at the back. I've never used the sponge, to be honest. So this primer, I like to use it during the summertime. The balm texture is quite thick during the winter time. During the summertime when I use it, I really enjoyed it. So I prefer this to be used during the summer, and over the past summer I've used it a couple times. I actually quite enjoyed it, so I might just keep it for now. I don't like this sort of compact though. It's quite messy and takes a lot of space, but I don't have a lot of mattifying primer. And then we have this little travel size. This is the CoverFX mattifying primer with anti-acne treatment. So this one contains 1% of BHA. I don't know why you need to have like a skincare ingredient in primer, consider you're putting this after your sunscreen, so you already had a lot of protection. This one is a gel-like texture, and once it gets onto your skin, it gives a full matte finish. I think it's working okay. I definitely will not repurchase this because I don't believe the BHA is doing anything, and CoverFX is not a cheap brand, and I just, in general, the brand itself does not attracts me that much. Like, I don't feel like I want to get anything from the brand in particular. So I'll try to use this up because it's 5 mils, and I feel like I'm already halfway through, but I will not repurchase. And once I get this out of my collection, I've only got one more mattifying primer, and this is a new one as well, the Sleek Makeup Mattifying Primer. I mean, new to me. I got this from the Look Fantastic Advent Calendar. I never used the Sleek product before. I've heard this product, and I know they used to have at Target, and then they sort of like disappeared. You can get them online these days. So it comes with this like milky lotion texture. It is a little bit thick. Feels like a balm once you apply it onto your face, but it's definitely more hydrating than the E.L.F. one that I just mentioned. And then let's looking for a similar categories here. Let's have a look of all these. Oh, this is not the right category. Let's have a look at all these pore minimizing primers. First, I have this Benefit Pore Professional Primer. I don't think I need to say much about this. This is still an iconic product. Although personally, this is not my favorite. I received this from Bella Box, and I can use it every time when I receive it, but I will not repurchase this. I reckon this is a little bit too thick actually. It does minimize the pores very well, but it's also a very quite thick formula that you really have to apply the correct amount, otherwise it'll be too much. What I applied on the back of my hand is probably more than what I need to use once. Once you apply a lot, it sometimes peels a tiny bit, and also I know it's not saying clog into the pores, but I always feel like it clogs a little bit. But if you're really having huge pores and a lot of the primers is not doing that pore minimizing, you give it a try. This one really can minimize all the pores, and that is doing a great job on that sort of aspect. And then around the same time when the Professional was very popular, I picked this one up, the Bourjois Paris what is called translucent smoothing primer. This one looks like a solid form of oil. It's quite thick in texture. I've used a lot of this. I used to like this a lot because back in the days, Benefit Professional is too expensive for me to have a full size. So you can tell this is one of these sort of texture. You really have to warm it up with your fingertips, and once you warm it, it will melt into your skin and then you blend it. Same issues. This one, if you apply too much, you will notice starts peeling off on your skin, so your makeup will not stay very well. So if you're looking for a slightly cheaper, more affordable dupe for the Professional from the Benefit, I think you can give Bourjois a go, although I don't think it's super cheap here in Australia. But these two are the old days pore minimizing primer. I think both of these are a little bit too thick for what I like, so I will not repurchase this and probably just, you know, get rid of it once I finish, or even if I reckon it's too long in my collection. My current pore minimizing primer is this E.L.F. poreless putty primer. This one works way better. It comes with a much nicer texture, so much creamier, and it does more than one thing. So it mattifies my skin, and it also minimizes my pores. It doesn't feel heavy. It's very lightweight. You only need a tiny bit, and that covers almost the entire face. So I really enjoy this one. I think this is way better than the Luminous putty primer as well. I highly recommend if you're going for this one, and this might be even cheaper than the other two that I just mentioned. And then we have another two pore minimizing primers here. This is the designer brand's Blur primer. This one also contains peptide, Q10, vitamin A, C, E. It's a quite standard drugstore primer. It comes with this gel-like texture, and you blend onto your skin. It feels quite moisturizing because of all the skincare ingredients within. I enjoyed it. You know, I've got my favorite there, so it's not gonna beat the E.L.F. ones. But if you want a slightly more hydrating but also pore minimizing primer, I think hydration wise it's a little bit better than the E.L.F. And this is also very affordable, available in Australia. And then we have this Laura Mercier Pure Canvas Primer. This is the blurring effect, and this is actually a silicone-free formula. I know a lot of people hate pore minimizing primer because they contain silicones. So if you don't want to have a silicone in your skincare or makeup steps, and you also want to minimize your pores, you can check this one out. I received this one from the ASOS Advent Calendar. It does minimize the pores very well. I just don't think I need to spend the money to get this one because it's quite expensive. I don't mind to have silicones in my skincare or makeup routine. It feels quite moisturized as well, lasts the makeup well. It's another good blurring primer with a little bit more higher press tag in my opinion. And now I've got two color correcting primers here. These are the only two that I've got in my collection, but both of these are working so well. First is this L'Oreal Infallible Anti-Redness Primer. I know it's looking like quite messy here because when you purchase from Priceline and they do a tape wrap around it, it's so annoying. This is definitely the best anti-redness primer that I've ever come across. I do have a lot of redness back in the days, not so much these days. I think my skincare routine really helped to reduce that sort of hyperpigmentation. You can tell it's quite a liquid formula, and it is having such good coverage. This green, don't think it's too scary. If you do have redness on your skin and you have acne you want to cover, you do want this sort of color. Blends easily but also leave that sort of coverage on your skin. I really enjoyed it. I probably applied too much just for the back of my hand just to show you the color. I've heard people with dry skin found this is a little bit on the drier side, so if you're having a dry skin and still wanting to cover all this redness and stuff, maybe go with a really good moisturizer to prep it. I really enjoy this. I don't use it as often as I used to. Like I said, my skin condition is a little bit better, but if I ever needed to go for an anti-redness primer, this is definitely the one to go for. I enjoy this so much. And then we've also have this Makeup Forever base primer. I've got in the color shade Peach. This, I think Makeup Forever has recently changed their packaging for their primers. They no longer name them based on the color, but rather than their function. Like this is anti-dull primer, or this is like brightening primer, etc. This is a really good hydrating primer. I love this, and particularly to use it under my eyes. And I just need a tiny bit, and it made a huge difference. The color that I chose also works well for counteract a bit of my dark circle. It's not having as high coverage as the L'Oreal, but you can definitely see it leaves that sort of orangey salmon tone there. It makes it easier when you apply your foundation and concealer afterwards. I definitely will keep these two in my collection forever because I know I will need them, and they work brilliant. I need to check if the new packaging primer from Makeup Forever still have a peach color. If not, I might see if I can find another backup just in case. Here are all my hydrating primers. I think my biggest category are those luminous primers, and then followed by hydrating primers here. Let's talk about these two designer brands ones first. These two, one is called Primer and Moisturizer. I used this one in the final speedy reviews for the new makeup, and this is another just called Moisturizing Primer. I think these two are actually very similar. The blue one is more of a water gel sort of finish. It contains hyaluronic acid, aloe vera, vitamin C, and vitamin E, so it's giving all these good skincare ingredients. And the other one says smooth, balanced skin tone. They look quite similar once that you squeeze it out, but as you blend, you can tell this one, this is the blue bottle, this is more watery, and this is more giving you sort of a gel consistency. It definitely all giving a really good hydration, a nice moisturizing feeling, good prep for the skin. But personally, I prefer the blue one a little bit better. I don't doubt the white one just do exactly the same, but I don't like this sort of heavy techiness. It's not very heavy, but I have normal to combination skin. I just like this watery finish. It's like so lightweight, it makes the foundation applied afterwards a lot easier. And then we have this Napoleon Perdis Auto Palette Pre-Foundation Skin Primer. This one also contains a lot of the skincare ingredients. This is actually a really good one. It feels just like a very light moisturizer on the face. I know the brand has gone through some tough time, which you can't get this from Priceline anymore. It is a shame, I know, but I really enjoy this. It feels like a lovely lotion moisturizer on the skin, and it also preps so well. It helps the makeup last longer and really hydrate it. If you're having a drier foundation and use this one, it will definitely make the foundation looks a lot softer on your skin. It is a little bit more pricey compared to designer brands I just mentioned, but you get 50 ml out of this tube here. I really enjoyed this. They do also have a matte primer. I really want to give that one a go, although I already had thousands of matte primers there. I enjoy both of these very much. I think moisturization wise, maybe the Napoleon Perdis is just a smidge better. If you don't have a very dry skin, I don't think it will matter much, but if you do and you want to spend a little bit more money, just get a really good hydrator, I say Napoleon Perdis definitely worth the shot, but designer brands just as good. And then we have this Max Factor Miracle Prep Primer. This is illuminating and hydrating primer. I'm almost gonna put this in my illuminating primer category, and then I realized every time when I use this, I notice the hydration more than its glowy finish it gives. So it is a very like cream sort of texture. It feels like one of those old primers. When I first get into makeup, I think a lot of the primers feels like this way. It's a quite thick, creamy texture. I think during the winter time, I'll enjoy this more than the other two because it just feels like layering that thick moisturization on top of my skin. It does give a little bit of luminosity. I think it's very subtle to be noticed, although it's looking good. So if you want a good hydrating primer with a smidge of glowy, I think this is a good one to go for. Although Max Factor in Australia is not that affordable, so do wait when it's on sale. This one also having some skincare ingredients. It says it firms the skin's appearances. I don't think I've noticed that, but I quite enjoy when my skin is a little bit drier, and I think it's just give that richness to my skin before I apply the makeup afterwards. And then we have this Flower Beauty In Your Prime Hydrating Primer. This one was in my project pan, but I am thinking replace this with another one that I'm going to mention in a minute. This is one of those one function primer. It only hydrates the skin and maybe lasts the skin a little bit better. I like a multi-function primer. This one comes with a creamy lotion texture. It definitely blends a lot easier than the Max Factor one that I just mentioned. And you can tell, compare these two side by side, this one definitely gives a hint of luminous. It feels like the skin a little bit brightened. I just think Flower Beauty's primer wise, it's just okay. Nothing like wowed me. It's not bad, but it's definitely not one of the ones I would rave about and keep repurchase. And the last but not least, I'm not quite sure if this is actually a primer, but I do sometimes use it as a primer. This is the E.L.F. Prep and Hydrate Balm. I've got a travel size from their skincare review video that I did last year. I've only had this much left, so it's not a lot. This one is a very basic hydrating balm. It really just hydrates your skin. It does nothing else. Not so much of helping you lasting the foundation. So you can use it as a toner, like a solid toner to take it with you when you go for travel, and you can use it to hydrate your skin before you apply your foundation. I sort of like to use it if I am applying makeup without using a sunscreen, like during the evening time. It's a quick, easy, just, you know, a little bit of hydration on the skin, and then I'm good to go for my foundation. It's definitely not one of the things you have to have in your collection. I like the design, particularly as a balm, like a solid toner type of product. I can take it with me on the plane, although we're not going anywhere these days. It's just one of those quite interesting products, and I'm almost finished this. I don't think I'll repurchase this for now, unless I'm traveling in the near future. I might get another small one just to take it with me so I can do a quick touch up, etc. But yeah, I think it's just quite fun, interesting product. And let's have a look of all these. These are the brightening primer. The first one I'm going to talk about is the one that will replace the Flower Beauty. This is a Japanese brand called Sofina. This is their Long Keep Base UV. It contains SPF 25 PA++. It's one of those squeezing tubes, looking a bit dirty now. You really do have to shake it well before you use it. I used to love it to death. They have two different versions. This is the one suitable for oily skin, so it's quite lightweight. It gives a obvious brightening effect. A lot of the Asian sort of primers, you realize they do contain SPF because they're aiming to do like sunscreen, moisturizer, primer, all in one. I don't rely on the SPF, however, because it has SPF, I really need to use it quickly before it gonna expire. You can definitely see it brightens up the skin a little bit. I enjoyed it when I first used it. It did help the makeup grip on a little bit, but I'm not planning to get any of the primers containing SPF because I just have so many. I don't want to use them in a rush and, you know, throw them away before I finish it. So I'll finish this as much as I can. So it's a great time to put in the project pan, and then I'll just get rid of it. Another like Asian primer with SPF. This is the Etude House Face Blur SPF 33. It says a smoothing, pore hiding, tone up. It is quite a big bottle. This one gives you 35 grams and comes within the pump. I think what I noticed the most with this one is a brightening effect. This comes with this sort of skin tone color. It definitely brightened the skin the most, and that is why I put in the brightening sort of primer category. It feels quite moisturizing. I don't think it minimized the pores that much, and you can probably tell this one brightens up the skin even a little bit more than the Japanese one. What's this called? Sofina. If you are looking for a brightening primer, I reckon Asian primers, they do better than the ones here in the Western market, because whitening and brightening is really something that we are pursuing for a long time. Even till today, it's not as popular, but it's still a trend. But if you already have a quite fair skin, this might be a little bit too much for you. Or if you just want to use a primer to get rid of that dullness, I do reckon the other two here, particularly this Revlon one, this is their photo ready brightening primer, and this is in their old packaging. This is in the shade 003. I'm not sure if they've reformulated, but definitely changed the look of it. This is the new look of it, and they have a couple. I've got the Perfect perfecting, smoothing, so it's not in the same sort of claims. This is their brightening one, and I'll see if I can swatch it side by side to the Etude House. It comes with a cream sort of texture. It is quite a lotion to cream, I'll say. It also brightens the skins a little bit, but I don't think it's as drama as the Etude House. I don't know if you can pick it up from the camera, but looking at personally, the Etude House is leaving a very obvious like brightening color. Like it's just not flawless. It looks like you apply something to make your skin look whiter, and this is just like naturally your skin is a little bit brighter. This one definitely contains silicone in it. I feel that silicone when I apply that on my hands as well as on my face, but the silicone also helps to smooth the skin, so it's having a little bit that effect within. Not quite sure if you guys can still get this. I think I still see this from the drugstore, even online in Australia, but maybe they will not last for long because they've changed the packaging. I'm assuming it's supposed to replace this old sort of version. And then we have this Guerlian Perfecting Peals Anti-Dullness Primer. So this is, like I said, if you just want a nice sort of brightening effect, not too much, just to get rid of like that tiredness on your skin. This provides a good of hydrating feeling on the skin. It is not whitening your skin, but really brighten up to create that anti-dullness finish. I do know BYS have a really similar primer that just look like this, and I think they're claiming for the same sort of effect. I might pick that one up and just to see if we can do it, find another good dupes from an Australian drugstore, because this is also retails for 110 for 30 mils. To me, I think it's a little bit too much, but if you ask me for the experience among all the brightening primers that I've got here, this definitely feels the best. And we have three here. They're all like smoothing primers. First, we've got this Marc Jacobs, I think it's Perfect Undercover, Invisible Undercover Primer. This is a product I want to have for a long time, and I finally picked it up during the Sephora sale last year. I think Marc Jacobs had a quick sale. I really enjoy this. I know it's expensive. I just have a weird obsession with Marc Jacobs brand in general, but this one feels so lightweight. It feels like a serum, and it's just so moisturizing. Gives that sort of nice experience on the skin. It's a moisturizing and yet smoothing primer. I know you don't have to buy this one. There's a lot of drugstore ones just perform the same, but I really enjoy using it, and that sort of joy that coming from the primer is something that I can't get from the drugstore one. So I really like this. If you really are looking for that sort of similar effect, I reckon the Revlon one's just doing the same. So that is also why I really like this one. Oh, my e.L.F is going. So this is their Photo Ready Prime and Plus Perfecting and Smoothing Primer. This one contains lots of good skincare ingredients as well. It's coming with a more gelish finish. Once you blend it onto your skin, you feel it's a little bit tacky, but it's also highly hydrated onto your skin. And if you look at the finish, these two hands, you really don't see a huge difference. There is a big price difference though. Ooh. And this is the e.L.F. Smoothing Face Primer. This one only comes with a 14 ml, although it looks like a 30 ml bottle. Is this why they went for a saga for the e.L.F. like packaging, and then they expand that sort of packaging issue to a lot of other brands? I can't remember. This is a white lotion as well. It feels just the same as the Max Factor hydrating primer once you blend onto your skin, but it creates a quite smooth base, and it feels quite hydrating as well. There's no luminosity it provides. It works, but it's not my favorite, and keep in mind this one only gives you 14 ml, so it's like half of the regular size you receive from other primers. And the last but not the least, I've got two that I don't know, sort of in the miscellaneous sort of category. First is this Huda Beauty Primer of Face and Eyes. This one, I don't think you can get it from Australia. I got it from a friend from, I think she traveled to India. I did found online, it seems like to be available in India, so I don't know what's the story behind this. So I'll just quickly go through this. It feels like an oil on your face. And I think I was gonna hate it because I have a slightly oily skin, but once you blend it out, it really hydrates and gives this radiant glow, and it makes the foundation, particularly the drier foundation, so much softer. I actually quite enjoy this. However, this bottle she gave it to me sort of leaking a little bit around here, so I always have to make sure I set it up right. It's definitely a quite unique sort of primer in my collection. I know there are other oil infused primers, but I usually don't go for them. It's just a quite interesting product. The last one on the list, oh my gosh, this one is the MAC Prep and Prime Skin Refine Zone Treatment. And I was like, yes, I finally find a primer that's used before sunscreen. On the day when I want to go for a tinted sunscreen, I can use this as a primer, and I don't have any of the other products claiming like this. So it is designed to sort of minimize the pores there, smooth the skins, so it makes your sunscreen looks a lot better. And then if you have a tinted sunscreen like I was imagining how I'm going to use it, I don't have to worry about the pores or concealers and that stuff. It is a quite liquid, sort of similar to the Marc Jacobs one, to be honest, but it definitely feels a little bit more on the gel-ish side. It feels nice on the skin. I just don't think it does anything. I tried multiple times, you know, different ways of using it, different sunscreens afterwards. I just not minimize my pores whatsoever. It probably just smooths my skin a little bit, and I don't need that. I need my pores to be covered, and I don't think it blurred anything, to be honest. So I'm quite disappointed for this product. I might declutter it eventually, but I got it last year after I started testing sunscreen, so it's not so long ago. I might just hold on to it a little bit longer and see how I feel. Alright, that is everything for today's video. Oh, I still have the tag here from Kmart. This is a little basket that I got over the Christmas holiday. I really enjoyed it. It feels really nice, and it's really pretty but simple design. Yeah, this is all my primers. I know there's a lot, but I really enjoy sharing this with you guys, so give you guys a bit of an idea of the differences and the comparisons between them and all the options that's there out in the Australian market. If you like today's video, don't forget to give me a thumbs up. If you enjoyed these sort of contents, maybe consider subscribe. I hope you have had a great day. Let's stay safe and stay positive, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!